All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to CV Pod, the Channel Vision podcast. And you can find us, of course, on channelvisionmag.com, where they're archived alongside other great content. Joining us today, we have a very special guest we have from Quest Technology Management. We've talked to him before. We're excited to have him back. The Vice President of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. How you doing today, Adam?
Good, Brady. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to you, and looking forward to chatting today. Thanks
Me
again.
too, because I always learn something whenever I talk with you, Adam. So, if we could kind of start out, maybe just talk a little bit about Quest Technology Management for the uninitiated.
Yeah, absolutely. So Quest Technology Management is a firm that helps organizations with their IT needs, right? It's pretty simple, but it gets complex. Basically, we help organizations achieve their outcomes leveraging technology that we provide, support, or resell. So about 40 years ago, we started out as a traditional value-added reseller, helping organizations secure, procure, and deploy their technology, right? So route switch, desktops, endpoints, firewalls, all that kind of good stuff, storage. We moved into pretty significant professional services and managed services business in the early 2000s. With a focus on security and disaster recovery services. So acquired our first data center in 2007, run a 24/7 network operation and security operation division, and then also help with physical and asset deployment for folks. So our general strategy and what we believe in is that we're an IT company and how can we help? And all of these different service verticals, whether it's professional services, managed services, application development, or physical infrastructure, these have all been customer-driven initiatives where they've come to us and said, hey, Quest team, here's what we're struggling with. Here's what we need some help with. Can you guys help us get this done? And we have a very, very open mindset when it comes to achieving complex solutions and putting together, building block approach for achieving an organization's technology needs. And we rarely say no, but we do often say, hey, this is how we can help, and this is how we've been successful in the past. So we put together all sorts of great projects. It's an exciting time for our company. We've been growing in this market with all the different challenges going on. Has been very dynamic for us. So we're excited to be working with the channel and helping out with those complex challenges.
I've heard a lot of mention of those service verticals that you kind of mentioned there, Adam. What sort of channel opportunities are you seeing specifically for partners?
We're seeing partners come to Quest when there are kind of multiple players involved in an opportunity, right? They might have a new UCaaS solution that they're trying to move from a kind of a legacy on-premise environment to a new version. Or they're trying to integrate something they recently acquired with Microsoft Teams, or they have a business partner who just acquired another company. We're seeing a lot of acquisition right now. They just, someone else was acquired by an organization. They're trying to migrate, like, Google to Microsoft or vice versa. Lot of different. We get called in when, hey, I need help, putting multiple pieces of the puzzle together. That's really where Quest shines for our partners is complex solutions around, hey, I have a diverse need around, I need help migrating to the cloud. I need to move from my legacy system to a private instance. I've always been doing security this way, but I recently invested in a SASE solution, but that SASE solution needs to talk to my legacy network environment that isn't quite up to the same level as my next generation perimeter, right? So all of these things, all these companies aren't necessarily built in a bubble. They're not all greenfield. You don't get to just start from scratch and build it out exactly the way you want it. We see ourselves as an organization that can come in and help translate that next generation, greatness as far as SASE and zero trust architectures and all that fun stuff with, hey, we still have some on-premise stuff here. We still have some legacy LAN switching and routing and network segmentation that we got to get right. And we still have people, VPNing into the environment, and how are we going to secure their access? So complex solutions is typically where we get involved. It's also part of our challenge too.
For sure. Talking about complex, the analogy that you gave us off air, which I thought was a fantastic one, is like you could remodel your kitchen. You could go out and buy everything that you need. You can do it yourself. Or you could turn to somebody who's remodeled maybe 50 kitchens in the last year. Uh, could you talk about maybe how do you get that kind of conversation going with a partner, and where do you take it from there?
Yeah, with partners, you love to give examples, and the analogy that we were talking about off air around, hey, it's not wrong for customers to go to Home Depot and buy the mortar and buy the fixtures and tear out their kitchen and build it themselves. It could take a little bit longer. It can sometimes be a little more expensive. It can be cheaper if they get it right. Hey, it could be cheaper. But you have that conversation with the partners around, hey, we've been in these types of scenarios before. We've gone through this transition from on-premise to cloud to hybrid. We've seen people do this before. So it's about the experience. It's funny if you compare the IT world to the legal profession. When someone is, accused of murder, right, or in big trouble with the law, and they elect to represent themselves, everyone thinks they're crazy, right? Everyone's like, well, you've never been through a murder trial before. What are you doing? You never dealt with the IRS before. What are you doing? You're going to represent yourself? You're nuts. But in the IT world, we kind of think like, well, hey, I I I worked at XYZ company and I programmed some switches one time. I can totally deploy a SASE solution that is next gen software and completely hosted in the cloud that I've never touched before. Like it's I don't know what it is in the mindset, but if you think about it that way, you know, are you really experienced in that kind of thing? Do you really want to take on that type of risk for your business just because when you're comparing it to the legal profession, no, people who represent themselves and aren't haven't passed the law, the bar exam that's a risky mindset. But in IT, it's sometimes common. So you just gotta kind of wait it out with the partner and with the consumer as far as, okay, when they're ready to have that conversation about using third parties or maybe bringing in some expertise. You have credibility. You go through some examples. Partners love stories, right? So having a story of, hey, here's where we started with a workshop. Here's how we did a tabletop discussion about, what kind of security pieces they had in place. And then, here's where you identify some gaps, and here's how you show where you can help and where you can add value. So you start with a conversation. Where are you? What are you doing today? How are you doing it today? What's working with that? What's not? And where do you want to take your business? Oftentimes, unfortunately, in the security space, people don't make this decision until after something bad happens. That can be an incident, that could be a breach, that could be loss of data. Um, Sometimes it happens, you install a security system when your neighbor gets broken into, right? So someone in their industry, got hacked. Someone in their industry lost data. They heard a horror story about a healthcare provider who lost records, and those records that they lose cost money. So there's huge business impact to that organization. So those are catalyst events for us that we're always trying to make sure our partners are aware. Hey, these catalyst events are going to happen. They're going to spark a need to have a discussion, and that's really your entry point into having this conversation and showing value. You don't have to be the expert in security, but you do have to understand when someone's looking for help, that they're going to call you. And the way you get that exposure is by asking the question and making sure that they know when that catalyst happens, you're a resource for them to call. That's where we get a vast majority of our business from our channel partners in the security space. Actually, in all things IT, you'd hope there'd be a lot of Boy Scouts out there, but there aren't. It mostly is event driven for change, and that's being available and being a good partner when those catalysts happen.
You referenced security specifically just now. What sort of expectations are you seeing in the community regarding security?
It's all over the board, right? So there are like specific point solution expectations, like, hey, I really want to secure my endpoints and I want to use the latest and greatest endpoint protection software, right? So, you have the big vendors out there who do a great job in EDR and MDR, and you have SIM and event correlation, and hey, who's accessing the environment from where at what time, and correlating all those different events and monitoring that. That's coming up a lot more these days. And then also just policy creation, helping organizations understand what their IR policy, what their IR policies are. Who declares an incident when one happens. A lot of people, especially in the mid-market and SMB, they don't really know who to call when something goes wrong, right? They have a couple people maybe that they know. They maybe have a security vendor, maybe they have an MSP, but at 2 o'clock in the morning when you get a ransom note or something happens in your environment, a lot of people just don't know who to call. So having those conversations with their clients around what policies do you have in place, who actually declares an incident, and then what's your process for communicating with your people and with your customers about the fact that you're going through a security event. It's just that prior planning. And we love to do those workshops. We love to do those conversations. We do a lot of different things in the IT market, and one of the challenges, being candid with you guys around one of the challenges we're having as a solution provider is we hit on multiple verticals across the IT stack, everything from physical infrastructure all the way up to application development. So when I'm talking to a partner, that's a lot. I mean, we've been doing this for 40 years. We employ hundreds of people all around the country with different skill sets. How do you translate that to a partner to help their client, right? Where do you start that conversation? Where do we begin? You got to land the plane somewhere, because there's a lot of different areas to help. So we love assessments. We love workshops. We have a program right now that I think is fantastic around cybersecurity checkups, right? So a lot of organizations will do things like penetration tests and vulnerability scans. There's some automated stuff out in the channel right now around, hey, you can do automated penetration tests and check the box and that kind of stuff. That's all great, and those are all fantastic, and they're automated, and they produce very pretty graphs and bars, and the colors are fantastic. What we've found is some clients don't necessarily need a vulnerability or a pen test. They just need someone to kind of come sit side by side with them and look at about 7 areas of potential threat, right? So we put together what we call a checkup, right? And it's a checkup on the simple things like, what's your email security flow look like? What's your patching look like? How's your endpoint protection built, right? If you have, Sentinel or CrowdStrike or Carbon Black or there's thousands of endpoint protection platforms out there, right? How is that being managed right now? So we sit shoulder to shoulder with them, and we offer a cybersecurity checkup where we'll look at that with them, and we'll document what we've seen be successful in the past, and maybe give them some areas of improvement, real tangible, meat and potatoes kind of things they can do or we can do with them to improve those 7 areas. And the 7 areas are email security flow, patching, endpoint protection, your backups, VPN, and then also your DNS protection and URL filtering, and your firewall and IPS services. So you can do all of them. You can pick one. We even put a little 3 bundle package together where you can pick 3. And this, the whole thing is less than $5,000, for an end user. So it's not a significant investment, but it is a good starting point for partners to get the mind share of their customer that, hey, in the event you have an issue, we can help you, right? That partner can help. That partner can escalate to a service provider like Quest and get engaged to help. And also give them real tangible feedback that they can do today on any of those systems.
You gave us a couple examples there, I think, but uh, what philosophically kind of sets Quest technology management apart from a lot of the quote unquote experts that are out there today, saying a lot of the same kind of things that you are?
Yeah, so we get involved, and I think one of our key strengths is the fact that we help organizations across the IT stack. Cybersecurity touches every aspect of IT, right? And if you need people dispatched on site, yeah, we can get people on site. If you need a dedicated SOC team for to outsource some of your security management, we put together dedicated teams. If you need just augmentation of your staff, we do staffing. If you need a virtual security team, we do temporary security teams. We do the consulting, we do the implementation, we do the remediation. I think our approach, coming from our background as a VAR and then as a professional services organization, where we were very, very comfortable putting boots on ground, in the different regions all over the world, is unique. We're not afraid to deploy resources internationally. We're not afraid to meet the customer where they are today with the platforms that they have in place today. We built a whole program around the idea of supporting an organization's investment that they've made today, right? A lot of our competition will be in the idea of here's the way you need to do it, and here's the platform you need to invest in order to do it. That's not our culture. Our culture is we understand you've made an investment in the platforms that you have today, and we understand that needs that needs management, that needs support, and we'll put the teams together that can accommodate it. I think that's pretty unique in the market. And I think that's a big differentiator for Quest is we meet customers where they are with their current investment.
Oh, for sure. What kind of things can we look for from Quest kind of moving forward?
So we're continuing to invest in our cybersecurity platform, and our services there, right? So, and our channel team is growing, right? So pretty excited about some recent hires we brought on board. We're continuing to invest in the channel, and one of our key things that we're trying to do, for our partners is the same way we invest with our customers in understanding where they are in their decision-making process with technology and what they actually need help with. That's the same methodology we're bringing to our partners, right? What's important to their business? What are they trying to achieve? Are they trying to become experts in cybersecurity? Are they trying to grow their monthly reoccurring, revenue, in the Azure Microsoft space? What do they believe in? What's important to them? And we're hiring and building that team to help support that and invest in our partners' growth, right? Same way we don't come into our customers with a preconceived notion of this is the way you need to do it. We take that same methodology to our partners and say, what are you trying to do? And are there areas that we can support you, from kind of our vast array of services? There's going to be something we can help our partners execute on.
All right, very cool. And if people want more information, maybe go online. What sort of resources are out there?
Yeah, so we have a partner portal, and we also have just a simple web page, at questsys.com. Go check that out under partners. We do a weekly podcast called the Incident Report, every week on what we're seeing out there in the market, in the channel, kind of lessons learned from what we're seeing, kind of boots on the ground on a daily basis. So would love people to listen to that or check that out if they get a chance, called the Incident Report. And then, yeah, just we're always messaging things on LinkedIn as well. So if you give us a follow on LinkedIn, Quest Technology Management, that'd be fantastic.
All right. So there you have it. Adam, thank you so much for the time today. It literally like 20 minutes flew by like it was like nothing.
Well, Brady, I can talk a lot and I'm often wrong, but I'm never in doubt, sir. So it's always a pleasure.
That's a great quality. Thank you so much, Adam. And while you guys are online checking out Quest Technology Management and all their great stuff, be sure to also visit channelvisionmag.com. Archived right there on the website, you'll find podcasts and CVTVs and webinars and lots of great content right there on demand for your disposal, channelvisionmag.com. And on behalf of Quest Technology Management and, of course, Channel Vision Magazine, I'm Brady Hicks. Everybody have a great day.